let's go ahead and get this started. I got Thomas and Cliff. We got people from all over the planet joining this one today. We got India, Australia, and the UK on this one. So what's up, guys? Happy Monday. Today is July 10th. We're going to dive into some quick wins. We've got a few clients who just got superhost status over the last 1 or 2 weeks. Boye is on here, so he and Ashley got that status approval within the last week, and there were a couple others as well. I think Aaron Thomas was one, and then there was one other one at least that we have in the wins channel. I'm overall doing really, really well with a lot of my listings as well. May, June, and the first third of July are off to really, really good starts for me. I know Brian is actually managing one of our mutual friends' spots, so he's got some good insights there. And then Nick and Rebecca just hopped on as well. If you guys have wins, drop them in the chat. If anything is working really well for you guys, we're also open to letting you guys take yourselves off mute and just sharing a little bit about your own wins as well, instead of us being your own trumpeteers. So Thomas, Brian, Nick, and Rebecca, if any of you want to share any of those wins, go for it. And then I'm going to make Rebecca, Nick, and everybody else on my team co-hosts so we can mute people as they're joining from their cars. So if any of you guys want to go next, and then any quick takeaways on stuff that you've noticed from the last 1 or 2 or 3 months, I've also got a couple items prepared that I want to share as well. So I'll let any of you guys go.
I'm seeing plenty of fully booked out months. I've got a couple that are at 100% bookings. I'm really impressed with how well this summer has been going, especially for my larger units. I am a bit nervous for the fall because things are just not filling up, but I'm just amazed with how well things are going when you manage it right.
That's an awesome win. I've been noticing a lot more of my spots get very, very last minute bookings. So I don't know if that's something different, but yeah, that's been a big notice for me. Rebecca, where for those people who don't know where your spots are located, can you talk about the cities that you're in? I think all yours are in Utah, correct?
Correct. So I have North Salt Lake, Sandy, Utah, South Jordan, Harriman, Utah, Lehi, Utah, American Fork, and Orem.
Nice. Are June, July normally peak seasons for you, or are those kind of middle of the pack ones?
Oh, absolutely peak season. It's best time of the year.
Nice. Yeah, I'm pretty much in the middle of mine right now too. So I'm doing really, really well on those. Cool. Nick and Thomas. And then I think Brian might have hopped in here, might have kicked him out by mistake, or he might be hopping on again. Nick and Thomas, anything from your guys' then?
I mean, I'm going to kind of follow Rebecca's lead here and give myself a pat on the back in that we have the most booked out summer like ever. Like there are, if you look at, if you can ask Dr. Connor, we can look at any of the properties that we got in Colorado for sure. But like there are no empty days. We are selling every night possible. And there's a couple members of my team that watch this video, so I want to give those guys a pat on the back for just keeping up with all the craziness and all the demand that comes along with hosting hundreds of stays each and every week. That said, one of the things that I do really recommend and really want to point out is that taking the time to, well, we talk a lot about photos, but taking the time to test the photos, but also to kind of, I mean, I don't want to get people too worked up about staging and furnishing, things like that. But if I look at the top performing units, it's the places that really stand out in the photos. It's the places that people have taken the time and they have a nice accent wall. They have good furnishings. They have their amenities nicely documented. And it's all just right there front and center so that when somebody clicks through to check out their listing, it's like, bam, that's, everything in a nutshell right in their face. It's all the things they could ever want. And it's stuff that just like looks a little different, a little nicer, a little bit more appealing than a lot of the competition. Because I keep, I can't reinforce this enough, but there are so many units out there that it's like kind of, the same furnishing, the same kind of just basic necessities jammed into an apartment or jammed into a house. And there's nothing that really differentiates one unit from the next. And so the units that I'm seeing right now that are just, off the charts are the ones that have a little extra time and attention put into those details. They might have an accent wall. They might have like the cool plant walls or the neon lights or the, a mural on the wall or you know, just cool furnishing, like with some gold accents or you know, like little decor that's kind of freshen up the place, make it look a little bit more hip and a bit more appealing. You know, that's the kind of stuff that really stands out. So for all you guys that are looking for things to kind of take your place to the next level, I highly encourage exploring some of those items that I've mentioned here. If you can throw some extra decor, either out and about in the place or throw it together, you know, painting a wall in accent color doesn't necessarily cost more than a couple $100s, but it can go a long way. It really does stand out in the photos, and that kind of stuff is right now, that's what I'm seeing as the common denominator across all the listings that are doing really well. It's the places that are either really, really nice and super luxurious. Those are the places that are getting booked out super hard, or just the places that stand out. And, you know, I looking at Boy's place here. He's got some cool spots. They've taken the time or excuse me, he's got some cool amenities. He's got the pool in the backyard, but they've also taken the time to put the artwork up on the wall and like decorate the place and get the place reshot. And it looks good. And I think they're doing right now. And yeah, so that's the common denominator across all the things that all excuse me all the properties that we see winning right now is that people have just taken a little bit of time and attention to put a little bit more detail into those properties so that they stand out amongst the sea of kind of, you know, the sea of sameness. I think that's the thing that you want to avoid is looking like everybody else. I think
It's
that's
good.
about it.
Yeah, that's a good way to wrap it up because one of the things I'm going to piggyback on from Nick right there is it seems like there's more alarmism in the Airbnb and just general short-term rental space over the last like 30 to 90 days, especially when that one post about all the rooms came out. Have you guys seen that one? It was a post that documented 10 to 15 cities that were down in terms of revenue by anywhere from 30 to 49, 50%. And then when you actually look at data from AirDNA, a lot of those cities actually had record months in terms of overall revenue. So looking at RevPAR is very, very different from looking at data that all the rooms showcases, which I don't actually know. And a lot of people who saw those posts and then made video breakdowns, kind of dissecting where that data came from. They weren't sure where that data came from. The overall nature of the space right now is there are more people traveling on platforms and using platforms like Airbnb, like Vrbo, like Booking.com, like Expedia.com right now. The thing that is becoming more difficult is exactly what Nick just talked about, standing out. So for the last probably 60 days, for most of May, most of June, and then even literally this morning, speaking with one client who's got 2 spots. He's not on this call yet, but if he does show up, I'm going to ask if we can take a look at his listings. It's the tale of 2 cities. One, I'll share where his cities are, and Nick will recognize who this is as soon as I bring it up. One in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and then another in Hollywood, Florida. Brilliant photos on one of them, absolute standout property, and the photos represent it. His other property is equally as impressive. The $250 photo shoot from one person on Thumbtack is absolutely the one thing getting in the way of him having performance that exceeds expectations in that one spot. So I think what we're going to do about 20 minutes from now, when we're about halfway into the call and we have probably closer to 15, 20 people on here, there are always a few people who join about 10, 20 minutes in. I think we're just going to dive into a general, like, here's how it is really, really important to drop $1,500 to $2,500 on a combination of low ticket item things. So anywhere from $100 to $400 that are going to do what Nick Deck and Rebecca and Georgianne and all of us have been talking about for the last 6 or 7 months. Standout items, even if it's just something as simple as an accent wall, literally just getting somebody to click and arrive at your listing. The rest of your rates for your opt-in rates and your booking rates, you know, those will largely stay the same. The more volume that you get of people actually looking at a listing, that's a good thing. The number of people who book will slightly drop off. But I think this is kind of the, like, if you guys have heard this label before, hope this doesn't offend anybody. One of those coming to Jesus moments. You really do have to budget $250 for photographers. I get very, very frustrated at this point where there are people who are showing up on these calls and then they ask like, hey, can we take 30 minutes, 60 minutes to take a look at my listing together? And the number one recommendation that we provided the day they secured the property was, hey, you got to budget immediately somebody to come in for $175 to $350 to take professional photos. Like, you can't go live with the photos that the landlord or the property owner is passing over to you in a Google Drive, Dropbox folder, or just pulling the ones that were on Zillow. Or if they had a listing live, but the photos weren't very, very good, taking the same ones, you're just going to get wrecked. The reality is, it is not more competitive for the people who actually put in the work to make their property stand out. The challenge is going to come for the people who won't take the basic minimum, go get quality photos celebrating the really, really cool amenities that you have. Now, for those of you guys who have done those steps, who do have quality photos, then it's more of a traffic and a pricing mechanics scenario. And that's something that I think David Cott, we're probably going to dive into that a little more for his listing, because he's one of the few unique people who really has done a great job of, the property was already exceptionally well furnished. The photos are very, very standout. They're very eye-catching. They cover all the items that Nick talked about earlier on this call. So I think, and I'm hoping today that we get to take a look at a number of listings, because there are going to be some very obvious ones where you guys look at it and silently you're going to see, oh, I wouldn't stay at that place with those photos unless I had confidence from somebody else who's already there that it looks way better than the photos represent. There are a couple other people who are on this call who are definitely operating under that one as well. So just wanted to share that, because I think we're going to drop the hammer a little harder on suggestions that are, not just strong suggestions. It's like, you really got to do this, because you will see significantly different performance, and then revisit it over a 30, 60, 90-day period. So with that, Nick or Rebecca, anything else to add? I'll moderate in the chat. If you guys do have listings that you want us to take a look at, I think it would be great to start that off right now, because I think this call is going to go a little bit longer. We'll probably budget at least another hour. We'll go 15 minutes past the hour, and then I'll start fielding questions in the chat. But Nick, anything else? Rebecca, anything else? Because you guys are managing and seeing more listings than anybody else combined on this call. And Rebecca and Nick have both mentioned you guys are overall seeing summer's pretty strong, and it's been pretty strong for me too.
Yeah, no, I think if you're going to save a couple wins for a little bit later, I'll share some of those when you do. But overall, I'm thoroughly impressed with the degree of sophistication that everybody's bringing to the table. It's like some of the especially some of the folks that are coming into the program lately, everybody's really eating up the content, learning this stuff, not just because they want to kind of get the bare bones information just to get their listing profitable, but they really want to understand, the moving pieces of this machine and how it all works so that they can really scale up their business. So overall, I've been super impressed with what I'm seeing out of everybody. Yes, there's always room for improvement, but I'd say that no, let's jump into questions. I know there's actually a decent amount of people here, and I know that some of you guys are probably popping in because you've got specific questions you want to ask. So if you've got them, drop them in the comments here. Happy to answer this kind of stuff. That's what we're all about, or that's what this is all about. So there we go. Who's got questions? Who's got something burning that they've been wondering about?
I was going to say, David, Cott, and Trevor, you guys were the ones that had messaged over the weekend. It was, my listings or my whole decision for the Airbnb stuff needs a little bit of therapy. So if you guys, Trevor, on the last call, you did a great job of dropping all three of your listing URLs. I'm going to scroll up in your Slack channel. I don't know if you're on here and you're able to take yourself off mute.
Trevor might have bounced. He might have fallen off here.
Okay. If David is still on here, we can definitely dive through that one as well, because we've certainly massaged that listing a lot. I'm wondering if we just need a quick overview on pricing mechanics for this one. But yeah, whenever you guys can drop your question in the chat, we're going to always follow that order. It's not a free for all for who can take themselves off mute, so who can get organized and drop questions in the chat. Always, always, always.
Hey, Nick, can you hear me?
Yeah, David.
Hello?
All right, David's connection is pretty bad. David, 1, 2, 3. I'm seeing red bars, so we might have to wait until you get to a better spot.
Yeah,
Cool. I think we're gonna wait.
let's give him a couple minutes.
Cool. You can get to somewhere cleaner. We got Thomas on here. We got Alpha Lobby. Ali actually just bought our $1 masterclass item. Good to have you on here. I know that school gives you access to everything. Hope you get value out of this one today. We're going to dive into some listings to review here. Alpha Lobby, Bandu, we got your stuff taken care of earlier today. Hope you saw that. Boye, Cliff, and Ellie. Good to have the two of you from Australia. Welcome to your first group call here. I'm happy that this call is starting much later than our other one, where you guys woke up at 6:30 a.m. to get onboarded last week. Javier, Kumbo, Ricky, and then Tom. Reminder, guys, go into the chat, please. Drop your questions in there, and then we'll go in order. We'll always want to make sure that we stay in order. And then, David, I think your connection is really, really bad. Nick and I couldn't hear you, so we're just going to have you stay on mute until you get somewhere a little bit better. But we'll definitely circle back to you, sir. Just need a better connection.
You guys,
I'm trying to get a connection, but I'm not getting anything here.
Okay. Yeah, David, we can't make heads or tails of too much. Can you get to somewhere better? We'll just come back to you in a few minutes.
I feel like the rest of you guys are being a little shy right now.
Yeah,
It's
I will try.
Okay, thanks,
kind of
David.
surprising. I'm used to at least a handful of you guys dropping questions pretty frequently here.
Right. I was going to say, if you guys want to dive into any other wins, I can show my listing. I was going to have Brian show one of the ones that he's managing. Rebecca, anything that you guys want to celebrate. Otherwise, if it's just open-ended, just free for all, you could do that.
I can
too.
share a win.
Yeah, go for it.
I feel like Nick's working with us on managing our property in Delray, and we kind of got our property going into the low season, and we've been booked out almost like 100% the next 2 months, which is like really stellar. I think we'll be profitable this month, I believe, pending any expenses we're working on with the landlord. But I think it's definitely got us stoked, given that, you know, we're not even in the high season. And so I think that's kind of like a cool win. And we just became super hosts. I think I looked at our listing, and in the insights, you can compare properties, as many of you know, and I believe we are doing 50% better than other listings. I'm double checking. But I thought that was really, really cool.
That is very cool. That
Congrats,
is
man.
like the coolest thing. And actually, one of the things I'd like to reinforce to everybody here, because there are a few newer folks that are on the call, we launched this property June 1st was the first day we can accept bookings, right? Where we had an active
May 1st, I think.
May 1st. Sorry. Yeah, no, that's true. We were only in July. All right. But we've had the property able to accept bookings for the last couple months here. And with a lot of a lot of back and forth and a lot of optimization and a lot of care and attention, Boyes put together a fairly awesome listing with very cool amenities and great artwork and things like that. I was pointing that out earlier on, and it's one of those things. His property stands out amongst a lot of the other competition in the area because it just doesn't look like this. The sea of sameness is broken up by this kind of cool, flashy Airbnb. Airbnbs nowadays, a lot of people just kind of it's just a house, but in so many ways, it's like, when I think of a short-term rental, I think of a place that has a lot of character and a lot of pizzazz and a lot of kind of like just life to it, something that stands out and is not quite the same as what you would see in a normal single family home. And so he's done a great job in making sure that stands out, but they've also done a great job in just riding the wave. We've had the place active for a couple months here, and month 1, month 2, they understood that it's probably not going to be profitable right out of the gate, but as we work our way into July here, I like Boye said, probably going to be profitable here, and then it's only it's only going to improve and increase from here. It's one of those things where if you take good care of your guests and you have a really cool listing, you're probably going to do pretty well, but it's not going to happen right out of the gate. So I do want to reinforce that for everybody that's coming into the program here. Don't get discouraged early on. If you don't have, if you don't double your money in the first 30 days, that doesn't mean that you're not going to do it 30, 60, 90 days past that. It's certainly something to look forward to, and just having a little bit of patience and a little bit of persistence in the face of, as you're getting your listing launched and getting your listing live. It's just part of the game. So I'm going to wanted to share that with everybody who's coming into the program here. And some of you guys are maybe a couple weeks or a couple months behind where Boy is at right now. And so you may be experiencing a little bit of that kind of slow pickup period, that ramp up phase. And so for all you guys who are in that, don't jump the gun. Don't get nervous. Don't make decisions that, about your properties. Don't assess the overall profitability or the overall state of things based on the first 30 days or first 60 days or first 90 days. Even you really got to give it some time to ramp up. So just want to reinforce that for everybody who's coming in. It's not, it's not an immediate thing. So congrats to Boy.
I'll even, Nick, that's a good point. I'll give a quick anecdote on one of my spots. For the first 12 months that I was live with this is one of the very first spots that I purchased. We could not get this thing to convert for like 12 months straight. So if you guys have ever thought that you're in panic mode, try being my business partner and being the guy who does my first deal. Because I'm very anal. Like I will get on people if I feel like they're underperforming. It's also very windy out here. So I'm going to close my window behind this camera and click in case you guys see me shaking. I'm not going through an earthquake out here. I was in freak out mode, and I've freaked out harder than any of the other clients that we've had come in the first like 6 months that I was live with my spot. I had this like coming to Jesus moment where I was like, I'm going to get really, really granular and actually take a look at like, what are the mechanics of things that I can do to improve the listing? We ended up getting a new photographer coming in. We ended up posting the listing on some travel platforms for people coming to Denver. My place is just outside of the greater Denver area. It's in Westminster. So it's literally a 15-minute drive from downtown Denver when there's no traffic. The new photos and a little bit of a traffic boost helped solve pretty much all my issues. We were already getting great reviews. We just couldn't like really test the upper limit of pricing this thing. Even during one of the peak seasons where I saw other spots doing like $10,000 to $17,000 a month that were relatively same number of bedrooms, relatively similar amenities, I couldn't crack 8,000. And 8,000 wasn't enough to like make up for the 5 months prior where I was pretty much losing money every single month. So all that to say, if you guys are ever in one of those phases right now, the number one thing not to do is freak out. The number one thing to do is sit down, look at your listings, sit down with a friend and ask, would you take this thing in the current condition as I have it portrayed with my photos? That's the number one thing, because most of the spots that you guys have, they're great spots. We're just underrepresenting how good those spots are with our photos. That's like the number one thing. The 80% of everything that I see in the first sit down looking at other people's listings is these photos are not going to cut it. That is going to be the one thing that is just going to like squeeze out the underperforming listings. It's if you guys don't have quality photos. And I know there are a couple of you on here who have messaged us over the last 1 or 2 weeks and just been like, hey, I'm at my wit's end. And I'm like, no, you're not. These photos, these are not putting your best foot forward. This is underselling an otherwise amazing spot. So yeah, boy, this is great. I'd share that anecdote because I was like, I knew I wanted to share that on this one today. These numbers are good. I was just going to ask, what are the pricing mechanics for the month of July? Because you said this was a slow season. I can't see too much for July availability outside of this weekend because it looks like you're 98% booked outside of these other 2 nights, 96% booked rather. How's the pricing for this month? Do you have some of your listings that document what you got on 2-day, 4-day, 6-day stays, if any?
I can pull that up.
All right,
Boy,
great.
if you got it.
Or you can, because I actually have to run in like 5, so go for it.
Okay. Yeah,
Sure.
I can pull that up. Give me just a sec and I'll get that thing pulled up here.
But I mean, I definitely think like initially we probably, I know Nick's team's very diligent about leveraging price labs and going even beyond with analysis and things like that. I definitely think I might have even pushed us to get a little bit even more aggressive in some ways to undercut the market just to like get reviews quickly because we've been able to get really good reviews. And then we had a month-long booking that was really cool and unexpected, that they start on the 17th or the 16th. And yeah, Nick, you have it up, so I don't know what else you want to share. But
I mean, it's the total the gross revenue on that booking is $5,700 by itself. So that's
Nice
a
for
win
a 1 month.
to celebrate just by itself, right?
That's sick.
for sure.
Yeah.
Did that come
And
through
so-
Airbnb or Verbo or somewhere else?
Airbnb.
Nice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like, I mean, overall, we've got, based on what I'm seeing, because of that booking, we've got one open night in July, or excuse me, two open nights in July in total. And I'm pretty sure that we can fill in a gap if we really, really wanted to. But overall, July is looking really solid. Nick, what exactly did you want to look at specifically? You want to look at the pricing for these particular bookings?
Yeah, I was gonna say if you could hover over each of these, just so we can get an estimate of what he's charging per night. Because there
Yeah.
are other people who are in Delray Beach and the surrounding area. And boy, this is the Delray Beach spot, correct? Not the other one in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, perfect.
Yeah. So if you look at this booking, we got what, 4 nights. And the trouble here is that it's going to lump it all together. So this is an average, you know, the gross revenue on that.
$225 a night. Yep.
Yeah. And so here we're probably somewhere close. Yeah, right. Roughly around the same price point. She's got a couple more days during the week. But yeah, I think that's right around where we're hovering for July. And based on the fact that we're going to be rolling out of slow season here, it's actually kind of a funny slow season, or excuse me, funny seasonality. But if you look at even June, let's look at what we were doing back then. So we were doing 4 nights there. Oh no, that's 3 nights. So yeah, it's we're slowly climbing out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what's going to happen here is we've got all the ammunition we need to justify a price hike. And, you know, we've got Airbnb likes the listing, people are booking it up. So as we roll our way into August and beyond, I think that we can really move towards some of those target figures. You know, we were looking at, I can't remember exactly what the projected ADR was, but I know it was closer to $300 a night. And boy, do you happen to remember off the top of your head what we were looking at or what we were expecting out of this annually average?
I think it's around 400-ish according
400?
to Airbnb. I can double check.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
I would say you guys are definitely comfortable enough to bump it up now. You're also booked out literally the first half of August. I don't know if that's straight up 2 week stay.
That's the same guy. That's the Sky is
nice.
coming in for a month in
130 day
mid-July.
starting in a week. Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Nice, very nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd say definitely
agree.
explore above the 200. Yeah.
I agree. I think we should definitely hike up the weekends, especially because I think right now what I'm seeing is that the price discrepancy between the weekdays and the weekends is not super significant. So I think that we can definitely go higher on the weekends, and that's something that we'll explore here. We'll test as we get closer to filling up the rest of August and working our way into September.
Yeah,
but
that makes a lot of sense, especially when you get into September, October. The weekends are what really fill up. And so you have to make enough money on the weekends to make sure that you're covering your rent. And then weekdays are just your profit.
Got it.
Definitely. Yeah. And if I'm just, you know, for an anecdote here, I'm looking at the projected pricing just the way we have it set right now. And so as we roll our way into October and November, the weekends do get up well above $300 a night. And so if we start to, and then as we work our way into September, then, I mean, excluding the Christmas week, because that's like, you know, 600 and above, but all the other weekends are high 3s and low 4s. So I think that even based on what we're seeing, yeah, in January is the same thing. All the other weekends are above $400 a night. Same in February. So as we roll our way into the high season, then I think that we're going to clear that no problem. So cool. I'm excited for this property. Like I'm stoked to see how it does.
Me too. Thank you. I gotta jump, but I'll be sure to check out the rest on the video.
Right on.
Rock and roll, boy.
Be good.
Nice. And then guys, keep dropping your questions in the chat. We're gonna go in the order that you guys drop your questions in there. Cliff, great to have you. I don't know if Ellie is on here as well. Cliff was asking, oh man, I wish there were a way to make this happen. Can you leverage video on the Airbnb platform?
That would be so cool.
No,
I wish.
we've all tried.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
pretty
you
sure.
can on VRBO, right?
You know, I guess you could, but not in the early stages. Once they have booked, once everybody's booked, you can send out something that is a video to them. But until then, all websites are blocked, all phone numbers are blocked, everything is blocked until they have booked.
Yeah, and the listing, I don't think you can do any external links to anything in the description. And I don't think Verbo has video capability. I've looked on Verbo for booking my own spots. I've never seen any videos, but I don't think that's an option.
Yeah, maybe it was a mistake, but I swore I saw a VRBO with a video when I was looking, but maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Nick, have you or any of your clients uploaded video on Verbo?
No, but what happens is there's been even a couple of significant updates in terms of functionality on some of the major platforms this year, and we may not have exhausted all our options there. We may need to go and dive a little bit deeper. It's one of those things where they should have it, and if, for example, Verbo has it and Airbnb doesn't, that's just one point of leverage over that platform, over the big dog that Verbo could implement. And so I wouldn't see, I can't tell just off the top of my head, but I think that now that I'm looking into it, I'm definitely gonna, or excuse me, now that it's on my mind, I'm definitely gonna go and look into it.
Thomas asked Chat GPT. Yes, Google.
Google
Yes,
this
Bard
time
on this one. Yeah, if you can do it on Verbo, Cliff, that's a huge opportunity for you, because I'll give you guys context on how I booked my last few spots that I'm staying at. I always look at Airbnb, but I always try to message the host to go off platform, because everywhere I'm looking at staying, I just do it off platform. Like, I'm going to do it for more than 30 days. So I always try and get a discount. Thomas, I don't think you can do GIFs. I think the only image type that's supported on Airbnb is just a PNG or a JPEG. If you guys could have any animated video or image files whatsoever on Airbnb, that would be stellar. But it looks like you can do it on Verbo. So Nick, those listings might need an overhaul. That'd be an
getting on it. All right. I got my action item for the week. Now I got to get 150 plus listings with a video overview.
That would be a super stellar standout. It's interesting. I'm going through Verbo right now, and I'm looking for listings that do have it. So I'll keep checking and tracking them down until I find one.
It's an important thing to keep watching all of the new updates. For instance, Airbnb with its latest summer update, I've heard that they are going to charge less for longer stays. They're trying to compete a little bit more with Furnish Finder and really focus on not having people move away to Furnish Finder and those type of places. So prices have dropped for the longer stays from what I hear.
Well,
and that's all just new with the summer update.
That's something that actually would be really valuable to a couple folks. For example, I was talking to Aaron Thomas, and Aaron is cruising around to like 19 national parks all around the country. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I'm a little jealous of you, Aaron, if you're going to catch the recording. But talking to him, he's got two different spots. One of them is in Port Isabel, Texas. It's a cool spot. It's profitable, doing well. His other spot's in Peoria, just outside of Phoenix, Arizona. And so right now, Arizona, absolute dead slow season. But we were exploring what can we do to seek out more, midterm bookings, just those longer stays. What can we do to incentivize that and to at least, break even? We're not too far away from break even on those in that property. And that slow season's only going to last another maybe 6 or 8 weeks. But in the meantime, what do we want to do to at least capitalize on that type of booking? So we are going to throw it on Furnish Finder, but Rebecca, I don't know if you have any additional insights, but are they, in terms of how they're planning on competing with Furnish Finder, you mean they're going to charge less, like a lower
To the guest.
Okay.
Because as you know, they charge about 15% to the guest, and that is a huge amount of money for these very long stays. And so Airbnb says that they're going to be charging less. It's just something that I heard on a YouTube video. And so I've been meaning to get in there and double check exactly the length of stays they're looking for and all of that. But yes, it's in the new summer update.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I'll definitely explore that a little bit as well. Overall, I think the summer, like to Nick's point he was making earlier, things are going well. Yes, there is a lot of sort of, well, if you pay attention to any of the Facebook groups, somebody came to me and asked me about that the other day. It might have been Ricky here. He was one of the people that probably brought this up, but If you jump into Facebook groups, you've got thousands of hosts all in this group. And what you're going to hear, the people that are going to be the most active are the people that are typically having problems. So I want to make sure that everybody understands, if you are in those Facebook groups for Airbnb hosts or for short-term rental hosts or for any of those, related groups, don't get overly scared or worried or nervous or anxious if you see a lot of people asking questions about how they can optimize their listing because theirs is not performing. It's usually, those are typically kind of I don't want to say bottom of the barrel, but those are the lower performing, the folks that don't really understand. And you guys have access to some very, very smart people here who really understand how to optimize the listing and get it operating the top 80th, 80th and above percentile. And so you guys are not in the same situation as those folks are. I wouldn't worry about it. There's definitely more people traveling on using short-term rentals than ever. But now there's also far more competition. So it's like any business, you're going to be in a position where if you don't know how to, you don't know how to promote your listings or, market your business, so to speak, and marketing is just optimizing your listings here. If you don't know how to do that and present a great guest experience and provide great value, then you're probably going to be in those situations. But none of you guys are going to be subject to that because nobody's operating in this on your own. That's one of the beautiful things about this group is that you've got a lot of people with a lot of different data points to help you, solve virtually any problem that you come across here. So,
And whenever you're in those Facebook groups, go click on those listings whenever they drop them. They're dropping the ball on some of the basic ones, but I don't laugh because I've also seen our own clients do it. And I'm like, yo, this is not what we preach. We got to be on top of this. Well, guys, I don't, outside of the Verbo Scooby-Doo mystery, I'm pretty certain that you cannot upload videos on there. I just looked at a bunch of listings despite Thomas having a help article that says add or remove a video. Now I'm super curious, bro. There is a way to get video on there. I think Cliff and I are going to have a field day on our next call. Be like, oh boy, we're going to record some videos for these spots. Yeah, I mean, guys, if you have a listing or set of listings that you want us to look at, I might call some people out on here in case, oops, I don't want to do immersive, I want to do gallery. Thought Thomas was on here. Oh, Thomas doesn't have a spot to look at yet. H. Taylor, Kumbo Afalabi, Javier, Ricky Bondu, Ali, who bought the $1 masterclass. Congrats on getting access to that one. Cliff and Ellie. I mean, guys, if you don't have any specific questions here, could dive into something one of Brian, Thomas, myself want to dive into. Go for it, Nick.
I got a point that I'd like I'd like to kind of share it with some of the new folks here because there are some very familiar faces and then there are some folks that I have yet to interact with in any capacity. So do want to just kind of drop my general word to the wise here of, right now, you guys are in the process where you're coming into the community, you're ready to pick up your first spot. But one of the things I'd like to reinforce for everybody is how to strategically time the time between when you commit to a property and when you actually take delivery. Meaning, if you sign a lease on the 1st of July, you probably want to at least evaluate if you need a little bit of time to get ready to host guests and get the property get the property in working fashion, tenable. And so one of the things I like to advise is if your property is already a short-term rental, because a lot of the time the team is sourcing short-term rentals for the clients. And in that case, it's probably already going to have smart locks. It's probably already going to have great photos, probably going to be largely ready to go. In that case, you probably need a shorter window to prepare yourself, meaning like you could probably sign the lease on the 1st and then actually take delivery so that the lease starts and you're actually paying rent on, the 7th or the 10th or something like that. But if you guys are looking at a property and it doesn't have smart locks and you don't have any vendors in place and you don't have photos yet and it needs a little bit of furnishing, yes, you may be able to commit to it on the 1st, but if at all possible, negotiate with the landlord so that you have a couple of weeks to start preparing that stuff, because it does take a bit of time. It's a little bit here and a little bit there, but collectively it's several hours worth of work to find vendors and just get all the moving pieces ready. So it's one of those things where we're actually putting together a training on this, and that we have some high level training on this. We're going to go into more depth about this later. There's going to be some more content in the members area about this, but give yourself adequate time so that you're not paying rent while you're setting the property up, if at all possible, or at least, while you're preparing to set the property up, because you are going to have to get yourself a cleaner and a handyman, get smart locks, get photos, and get potentially some furnishings. That and I think this will be the perfect segue into what to add to the property to make it pop and to make it, to add a little bit of character. But I do want to reinforce that for all of you guys who are just coming into the program. First and foremost, very happy to have you here. This is a fantastic place to be, but give yourself some time in between. Ideally, when you say yes, I'd like to rent this place, and when you actually take delivery of the property, because if you have that couple weeks there, it's going to give you a head start, to say the least. There's a lot of folks who we've worked with who have ignored that, and they've come to us and they say, hey, I'm paying rent and there's still all this stuff to do, and there's a little bit of that kind of anxiety that comes along with the fact that you're already paying for the place, and you still have so much work to do just to get it tenable, just to get it ready to host guests. And so that's my number one thing. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that there is a little bit of time to prep the place, and that you give yourself that window, if at all possible. Not every landlord is going to be agreeable, but it's definitely going to be one of those things that gets you set off on the right foot versus kind of in that anxious and nervous phase.
All of that to say, don't be coming to Nick Deck saying, hey, I'm trying to get my property live tomorrow. Don't come to him with those last minute requests. That's what he and Georgianne were very adamant about. That was my 5-second version of that.
That's
don't be
the
coming to
5
Nick
second.
super last minute.
It's
Be
a
on top
very
of your
good
stuff.
point.
Come to him
One
early.
of the things that I have done is I told the landlord that I want to rent as of a certain date, but got in writing that they were going to paint it, get it all ready. When it wasn't painted or ready, I would approach them and say, hey, while you're working on all of this, do you mind if I bring in people to measure and start having deliveries come to the garage and all the rest of it, and I'll start paying rent when you've got everything done. So it's a way. In one case, it was an entire month worth of them getting it painted, and in the meantime, I was getting everything ready. So there are ways you can negotiate, especially if the house isn't quite ready for you yet.
Most definitely. We got any fresh questions yet, or should we jump into that kind of the topic, Nick, that you broached earlier, the one you hinted at a little bit earlier? Because I do think that that's going to provide a bit of value to everybody that's coming into the program, especially, or anybody who's maybe hurting a little bit, or who doesn't have a listing that is all that different to the other listings in the area, the other comps.
Yeah, let me see if I can hide his identity on here, but I know Nick already knows who it is. I've already mentioned who he is by name. It's Marino. I'm just gonna dive into it here. I think he'll be fine with this because he also watches the group calls too. So yeah, a couple big things here. Two really, really, really good spots. You can see this was a call that I had with him today about 5 hours ago. Again, practicing what we preach. The first thing is, if you got a spot and like this is the tale of two listings here, right? So we got this one here, Hot Springs, and then this one here in Hollywood, Florida. Very, very different representation of these spots with the photos that we've got. The Hot Springs, Arkansas one is certainly a little bit nicer, but Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, Hollandale, Florida area, there's just so much demand for travel in those areas that you can get away with something that's a little bit kind of closer to this. The problem with this one is he's not putting his best foot forward with the number one amenity that anybody who's traveling to Florida wants. And that's either a pool or a hot tub or a combination of the two. So again, number one thing was for him, it was just making sure that, hey, take very seriously the $175 to $350 item for getting your photos taken. In Florida, it's going to be a little more expensive because people can charge a little bit more in Hollywood, Hollandale. And then this was the general suggestion when we talked about this last week on the call. So I'm going to pull each of these up here. Let me do this one here because I wanted to show you guys an example of a post. If you guys are struggling to, after you've already updated your photos, so David, this is a good one for you because there's certainly a lot of people traveling in the area of Davenport and Four Corners where your spot is at. Making sure that you leverage traffic. So if you guys have seen any of the other calls where we've looked at insights, I don't have it pulled up here, but if you guys want to dive into it, we can look into that as well. There are conversion rate metrics that Airbnb, the platform, shows you. So Rebecca even brought this up on a call like 5 or 6 weeks ago. She was asking somebody, can you pull up your insights? And somebody was like, what's that? Insights is a tool in the Airbnb platform that shows you 4 total metrics. Number 1, your overall conversion rate. That's from showing up in a search all the way to somebody actually booking. So that's typically about 1 out of every 100 to 150, 200 people. If it's like 50.5%, it's 1 out of every 200 people. The other 3 metrics are very specific conversion steps. So at what rate do you show up in searches? So in your first page search, or in a new search for an area, at what rate are you showing up on the first page result? The second conversion metric is at what rate do people click when they do see you in a listing? So that's a combination of your cover photo and maybe one other item about how your listing appears in that search. And we can look into that next. And then the third conversion metric is when people land on your listing. So when they land on your page and they see everything, your photo, your cover photos, your description, your prices, everything on there, the availability, at what rate do people convert? So we talked about converting better at each of those stages. And that's typically the first thing that anybody from our team will do when we sit down with you one-on-one. We want to say, hey, are you showing up in search results? Are people clicking? And when people arrive, do people book? So we look at each one of those things, and that gives us really clear insight on, hey, what do I need to improve one of these 3 metrics? Assuming you've already done some level of research on, hey, what's my insights? Where am I falling short? Or is everything good on there? David, for example, he's overall not bad on any one of those 3 metrics. He literally just needs more traffic because there's either a supply issue or a demand issue. Either there's too little demand for the spot that he's got or just the area itself, which very could well be that the greater Disney Orlando area, Davenport, Florida, where he's at right now, could be a slow demand season right now. Or regardless of the demand, there could just be a ton of spots available right now. I think that David's solution is probably going this route and trying to find alternative platforms to promote his listing on. So I'm not saying get rid of your Airbnb listing. What I'm literally saying is this, and we talked about it last week, and a couple people actually did take action on this. You search on Facebook, you go and specifically pull up the search bar up here, and then you look for your city name and maybe your state name, plus some combination of the word travel or vacation. Because what you want to do is you want to join every single group that is related to travel or vacationing out in that area. So you can see this is a very specific search for hot springs in Arkansas. This is a great way to start joining some of these Facebook groups and then making very, very simple posts like this one here. I put an example of what one of these posts look like, and then you can hyperlink your listing in the comments. If you guys want the quickest, easiest, lowest degree of difficulty way to immediately start getting more eyeballs looking at your listing from people who are actually probably only in those Facebook groups because they do have desire to travel in those areas, you will see more people clicking on your listing, and as a result, hopefully more people booking. So if you're in a slow season, if you feel like you're doing everything else right, there's a very easy suggestion of, hey, my conversion rate on all 3 of these metrics on insights is actually really, really good. So then what's the only other thing to solve for right now? You either get more amenities and take more photos and improve the appeal of the listing, or you drive more traffic, more eyeballs to the listing as is. Both of them will work. If I show 1 million people your listing, that thing is going to be 100% booked out. But it's not going to take 1 million people. Boy, it didn't take 1 million people to see his listing to get, what was it? All but 2 days this month are 100% occupied, Nick.
Yep.
It's very, very doable. And he did it during a slow season. And he did it not far from all of those areas in, well, actually, Delray Beach. Delray Beach?
Yeah, Delray. I lose
Delray
track
Beach.
of where all the
That's
different
closer to
beaches
me.
are in Florida these days.
But he also did it. But the point is, he did it during a slow season. And David is going through the exact same thing. So it's just a combination of, and Cliff said he likes the idea of the groups. The groups things work. I was considering putting together a list of like, what are other communities where people actually do look online for travel suggestions? Another big one is honestly, don't poo-poo the idea. It's actually Reddit. I spent about an hour over the weekend just thinking about like, what are the other platforms where people actually do research for travel, and the platform is free to access and free to promote and has a ton of eyeballs. Reddit is a great option. If you go into a subreddit that's for that specific city, it might not have too many people in that subreddit, but if you post in there, you might get people who are super engaged for looking for travel in that city. But I would start with the Facebook groups. I think that's going to be a higher return. It's under 15 minutes total. 5 minutes to join every group in that area, 5 minutes the next day to make the post, and then 5 minutes a day for commenting, replying back to comments and messages, if any. Rebecca, Nick, anything to echo on there? Because I did want to make sure we have enough time for David, since he said he was trying to get to a better area.
Yeah, no, I second that completely. I think that what it comes down to is you can only do so much with your listing. If the supply outweighs the demand, that's going to be, you're going to be in a position where you just have to get more eyeballs on it. You have to be creative. And that's one of those things where you probably don't always have to be posting in groups or looking for those, alternative opportunities. It's not something, most of the year, your property is going to carry itself if you have it on Airbnb and Vrbo and booking.com. But in those slow seasons, if you're trying to get through a season where you're, just like we were talking about Aaron's place in Peoria earlier, if it's just, there's not enough people looking for spots and there's too many spots available so that you're not, you're just not getting bookings. It's time to get creative. It's time to take your business a little bit more seriously. It's time to put in a little, because this is not a lot of extra work. This is something where an hour or two of additional work a week goes a long way. So happily agree with that one. And I don't think Reddit is, and I think, if you guys can find other traffic sources, by all means, like, put your place out in front of as many people as possible, because worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to have your post taken out, or people are going to say no. But best case scenario, you're going to have a month like Boyes, or a month like so many of the other listings that we're managing right now that are doing quite well in the face of a slow season.
I agree. Ricky put up in the chat that there's a property he's looking at. So are we okay to start looking at that one?
Sure.
Okay, Ricky, I just went ahead and looked at the colonies. It's an area I've searched in the past. It is completely compliant. You do have to get a permit from the city, but they don't charge anything for the permit. One thing, though, to keep track of is that the taxes are not, the state taxes are collected, but the city taxes are not, and you need to file quarterly on them. So I just want to make sure compliance on that, but the area is fine. Doesn't look like this would be in an HOA, so you're good to go.
Good. Yeah, I'm in the process. Hello, everyone, by the way. Thank you for having me here. So I am in the process of signing the lease. So hopefully we will come an agreement. But just wanted to check with you guys what you guys think for the photos that you guys saw. Those photos were the same ones that the owners were using on their Airbnb. Exactly the same photos. So I think there is room for improvement, but just wanted to check with you guys. What would you do? Also, I am in the process of seeing if we get the furniture that they have, or maybe we just purchase everything on our own. They are asking for a $6K for all the furniture, which I don't think is, I think is too much for the 4 beds that they have, and a few things that they have on a sofa, I think, and just a few things that they have all over the place. So I don't think that would be enough. So maybe I don't know. I don't think that would be a fair price. That's what I meant. So yeah, just looking forward to hearing from you guys.
What's the monthly rent?
So it's gonna be $29.50. That's what they agree so far.
Okay.
For 2-year lease, and the same price in the second year. And they will give me for free the first few months. I'm sorry, the first few months. Oh, I wish the first few days of this. I'm sorry, the last few days of this month, starting probably on the weekend. So Nick, if we get the property, we will tell you 1 day in advance.
1 day in advance. I appreciate that. Yeah,
3 hours in advance. Sorry, that's what I meant. 3 hours in advance. I'm kidding.
Thank you.
A great
I
find,
appreciate
man.
that.
While Rebecca was asking about that, also is everything in these photos? Is this going to be included? The pool table and that throw rug in there? Oops, I gotta share my screen.
So that's what they're planning on selling me. Everything that
Okay.
you guys see in there, the pool table. And everything. The pool table, it seems that it's like $500 if you buy it from Amazon. But then they have 4 beds, a few racks, and a few other things that in total they said that I can buy everything for $6K. But I think that is too much. Oh, appliances in the kitchen, that doesn't count, but everything else will count.
So are they gonna gut the dishwasher and the fridge? Like, are they gonna take that
Oh,
out?
small appliances are like I think they will be like spoons and stuff. Well, that's not an appliance, like equipment for the kitchen. I don't know how would you say that. I think they said appliances. Well, let me double check. Actually, you're right.
Dude,
So-
I'll say real quick on this. For $5.50 per square foot, this is what you would be looking at if you were gonna furnish the whole thing new. Dude, honestly, one thing you might want to consider is how far of a drive is Colony from you?
From me?
Yeah.
20 minutes.
Yeah, since you're in proximity, and it also seems like you're not going to stop at one property, and it seems like you want to keep a lot of them centralized. This is the context we have. We know you got the family, and the family wants to specifically be hands-on with the management. Dude, I would work him down and be like, I'm willing to walk and just furnish this whole thing myself, and you can toss all that stuff in the trash because
Mhm.
he'll come down for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Unless he's a host who has other units, like what is he going to do? Host a garage sale and sell a couple of these things for like $1,500 total? Like it's the mattress, I don't know how old the mattresses are, but the
7 months.
oh, okay. Then are they any good? I would ask for receipts. I mean, I would work the guy. It seems like he can be worked down for sure. Because you could furnish this whole thing brand new, pretty nicely done from a combination of like, I mean, you don't even need to Amazon or Amazon or Wayfair, I guess you could do, but just supply chain kind of sucks with Wayfair right now. This is what I would be anticipating for a budget for going like kind of on the median, slightly median high end. It's 1,880 square feet, $5.50 per square foot. Like it's 10,000 to furnish the whole thing new. So if he's
Yep.
saying I'm going to give it to you for 6K, that's way too high.
I think so. So what I was planning on telling them is that probably like 2 to 3K because it's already used.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you guys think, 2 to 3K. Or if that's still too high.
I think that
that's
in
pretty
terms of
reasonable.
convenience, yeah, if you can cut that bill in half, I think that's a very reasonable price point, because what's going to happen is not only are you going to get the furnishing, but you're also going to save yourself the time of having to go out and shop and set it all up and all that stuff, because there's opportunity costs involved as well. So I'd say just pick, they're looking at the photos, it looks good. There are still probably some opportunities to take the place up a notch, but overall, like I like what they've done to the place. They haven't exactly gone all out in terms of the furnishing. That, I think a lot of the quality is it's kind of mid-tier, mid-range, but
Honestly, dude, I would say, Ricky, I would say you probably just want to go on the side of there are only like a few things you want to keep in here. Like these futons, they just look uncomfortable as hell. Like
They
I would
were
toss
actually, yeah.
those. Yeah. I would just tell him honestly, like, I'll give you $1,000 for like the bed frames, covers, everything in the bedrooms. Like the bedside tables are fine. They're pretty tiny too. I know people do like having larger spots because they want to put a phone there. They want to put something for water. You don't want to have somebody who knocks something over, but it's very one-off. I dropped some other suggestions in your channel and I'll push send once this ends. This pool table is also pretty cheap. If you're going to go the cheap route for something cheap like this, I would put a ping pong table in there because ping pong tables aren't, they don't need to be super crazy sturdy. This one looks like if I trip and put my hand on this thing, I look like I'm going to smash right through it or just like
Gotcha.
flip it over. There's
We,
like
we
no
checked
base in
online
here.
and that one is like 500. I couldn't believe that.
For $500, you don't even want to be dropping 500 on a pool table. You want to be doing something like 250, 350 on a ping pong table. It's just going to look better. It's a nice flat surface. You can use it for multiple things. The cheap pool tables don't look good. Ping pong tables look okay. I don't know. What do you think, Rebecca? The more I'm looking at it, I'm just like, dude, I'd take the bedrooms a minute. Like I'd take the beds, I take the mattresses, I take the sheets, and I take the comforters because all those look good. But everything else, dude, I just start from scratch.
The quality of the furniture is not great. It kind of works. I wanted to clarify a little bit. So they said the furniture is not included in that price, which means that they're keeping ownership of the appliances, but they're leaving them there for their use, is what I'm assuming. And the 6,000, are they giving you the furniture, or are they giving you the furniture, the bedding, the dishes, the coffee maker, all of it? What is that 6,000 supposed to include?
So it doesn't include anything in the kitchen. I just checked that. So, but they will be letting me use the appliances in the kitchen and then also dishes.
Okay.
But then everything else will be included, the bedding and the curtains, small things, everything else in the in the house. That's what they said.
Dude, I would say 1,500 for everything in the bedrooms, take it or leave it. Otherwise, you're just better off doing this whole thing from scratch. Because honestly,
Got you.
everything else is kind of crummy. Like those futons, those are terrible. Like,
Yeah, they were
I don't
pretty
wanna-
tiny.
yeah, I don't want to make a comment about what that reminds me of. So this, everything in the bedrooms looks good.
Yeah.
I'll just
Well,
say 1,500. I'm not
yeah.
even, maybe not even 1,500 for the beds. I'd have to see, like, are they queens? Are they kings? Are they really only 7
Yeah.
months old? Because everything else, dude, like this rug, you can probably get rid of. Maybe these vases and chairs and some of the items on the walls I would keep. But dude, it's less than $1,000 new to get everything else in here, even including the pool table. The only thing that's going to be higher ticket is the sofa stuff and maybe a coffee table in here. But dude, you're not gonna keep these in here. You are also going to need to mount a TV somewhere in here. I don't know if this one is this a TV or is this artwork?
It's a TV.
It looks like a TV. Okay.
Definitely TV.
I would get a bigger one in here. I'll just move this to one of the bedrooms. Because this, dude, you want this to be one of your top 5 photos. You want to see like an accent wall in here. You want to see like a 65-inch TV. You want to see like an L ottoman. Like you should definitely do an L-shaped sectional on this here. And then either get a nice fat ottoman in here in front of it or something like a nice coffee table. I'm going to show you one of my listings because I think you can pretty much design it, for under 10 grand if you do it really, really well. Because if you can keep those beds, you'll save like $500 to $2,000 on the 3 bedrooms that you otherwise need to furnish.
Mhm.
But you want it, dude, you want to make this one look good. You have a lot of nice space. This one could absolutely do well. Your front yard is not as terrible as one of my front yards, and that one just did 14 grand last month during a peak season. So you do want to make this one actually look pretty good. Oh, I'm a super host all over again. Check it out, Rebecca. Look at this. I'm a super host again.
I just got my
Okay.
notification too. It's always a
Okay.
cool thing.
Been
Yeah,
there, done
3 years ago, this house would have been just fine, but we really are trying to focus on how to make it stand out. And as you look at those photos, think about it from the point of view of your guest. As they're looking at it, are they seeing this as an exciting top of the line property that they're looking forward to going on vacation? Is it, construction workers who are there just at night to fall into bed to sleep? Who is your target audience here? Because as you look at the furniture, there's really nothing exciting about it. It just exists. Whereas this one looks much better.
Right.
Here's my crappy front yard too, bro.
Yep.
But what I'm trying to pull up is the downstairs living room here.
Yeah.
So because you can basically do the exact same thing as this. Disregard the super nice wood panel sliding door. Get a TV mounted in that area, get an L-shaped sectional, and then if there's enough room in that area, I might try and slide that ping pong table in here. Otherwise, you have a massive set of open space in that other room too. You could honestly get very creative. I don't know what you'd want to put in there. I'm almost thinking you put a massive dining room table in there. And I'm suggesting this specifically for you. If you ball out on a very nice wooden table that you keep with you for the rest of your life, like even when your lease ends for this one, because you're a 20-minute drive away, you can actually do something like this. Because I think when Rebecca was talking about imagine the vibe of who you want coming through and what they're going to be doing when they're there. I think going here's my dining room table. I want to show you this. And again, only because Ricky, you're 20 minutes driving distance from this one. And then if you actually invest in nice stuff, you'll be able to, keep something like this with you for the rest of your, probably your life, unless people are destroying tables out here. But something like this would be pretty appealing in a very, very large, open space like that. So consider it as, you know, an investment. Might not cash flow quite as hard unless you throw it on a 0% card. But tables like this are definitely not cheap. But they perform really well. Like you would be amazed how many people like, you know, big open dining room tables like this. So you can actually, you know, knock it out of the park. So
That will go where exactly? That will be instead of the pool table?
you know,
Okay.
I'm not the best interior designer on the planet, but I do think I have a really simple eye for this one. This is definitely where you throw a living room table. Because I mean, you could do one of two things. This could be your living room or your dining room. You could do everything I suggested for setting up this view here. Let me go back to the living room downstairs. I mean, Rebecca, what do you think? There's a fireplace in there, so that could be his living room, and he could mount a TV above it. Then he could turn the other
Agreed.
one into the dining room. But you
Yeah.
want one room theme just like this, bro. Like this is where everybody's chilling, everybody's having fun. There's a TV, there's ping pong, you know, or that pool table. But I would say get rid of that thing. It just looks super tacky. And then there's got to be a designated room for, you know, this is where mommy and daddy and the adults like dine and play cards and do whatever.
Yeah,
So one
I'm
room's got to
looking,
be that theme, and one room's got to be like just, dude, badass
I'm
table.
looking at it right now. That kitchen table that they're trying to sell you is really not a very good table.
Very
Um,
uncomfortable.
I've got the pictures up in front of me right now, but yeah, one of the pictures shows this itty bitty tiny table with with 4 stools around it that don't even have a back on them. It's okay, but the thing is, you're looking at a 4-bedroom home that only has a 4-seater table. You've got to change a few things about this property if you're going to bring in a lot of guests, because you know, everybody wants to sit down at a table together. What Nick showed you is a much better setup. It's a little tricky to know where to put these things.
Mhm.
They do appear to have set up that room with the room that currently has the pool table would make a great dining area, especially with the chandelier they've put in. So yeah, I would probably switch it out and put in a dining table there. I see a
Dude.
lot of big open spaces that are kind of wasted.
Yeah, Ricky, I was gonna say, Ricky, you should just model what I have, because the nice thing about your setup is
Mhm.
if you make this the dining room, you're actually modeling what I've got, because my kitchen is just off this entryway right here. So you can see where I'm scrolling my mouse up and down. My kitchen is
Yeah.
right here. Your kitchen is just to the right over here. So dining room in this area here. And then you can align the living room setup. I'm just showing you my basement living room. My upstairs living room is also, it's pretty much identical. Let me find you upstairs living room one here. Either one. It's a sectional and a TV setup in there. I would make the other one the living room.
Yeah.
So if you model this for this room right here,
Yeah.
dude, this would be super sick. So this is definitely your living room. I would probably explore getting a TV mounted above here. You can keep the TV in the other one too. But these are the two setups I would model, Ricky. Because
Yeah.
this is
Awesome.
massive. This is gonna look really, really nice. You can
And
also,
even with these photos and setup that they have, they told me that they have like 60 to 70% conversion rate. So it seems that with these changes, there is a lot of there are going to be a lot of improvements and possibility to increase that rate. That's what it seems to me.
Conversion or occupancy?
I'm sorry, occupancy,
Okay.
occupancy rate. Yeah, yes, thank you.
And do you know what, off the top of your head, do you know what they're doing in terms of gross revenue? Not including cleaning fees?
They were open to share those financials with me. They said once I give them the yes to the contract, they will share those financials with me. So probably I can share that in the channel once they probably will be finalized today or in the next 3 days. You know, but I'll share that with you guys. They just started 7 months ago. They said that the first 2 or 3 months it was pretty slow, and right now it's 60-70% occupancy rate, and yeah, I don't know how much they're making though.
Great. Well, I'd be eager to hear a little bit more about what the numbers look like. Always room for improvement. Always, I
Yeah.
mean, just looking at what they're doing currently, good for them, but plenty of
Yeah.
room for improvement, plenty of room to go up from there.
I'm guessing that they spent about 6,000 on the furniture and they're trying to get you to pay the full amount, but they really didn't make the best choices on furniture. They just basically got whatever was cheapest for them to grab. You know,
Yeah,
the nightstands in the bedroom are barely functional. They're there, but they're just not very good.
it was done by them. That's what they told me. And then looking at the best deals. So definitely you can
Right.
see that. Another question that I have here that was one of my concerns was the floor. It looks pretty cheap, the floor. And it even had like a few stains of the paint. I don't know if they painted themselves. I was planning on just covering that with a rug. RUG, basically a rug. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that word correctly. But I don't know if you guys have any comments, suggestions, or what would you do in those cases?
It's a little hard to tell what kind of flooring it is. If it doesn't look like it's actually wood, it looks like it's either Pergo or LVP. If it's LVP, you can scrub any paint right off. If it's Pergo, you can almost scrub the Pergo off when you try to do it. And so you've got to be really careful. I would ask him a little bit more about the flooring. The carpets in the bedroom don't look bad.
Mhm. Yeah, the carpet didn't look bad. My main concern was the floor. It looked like pretty cheap, not like the one that Nick showed us in his house.
Yeah. I need a little more details on it, but yeah, I'm looking at the picture of the living room and it does look like there's scuffs. I'm just sorry, I'm trying to get a good idea.
Let me see if I find one.
Hard to tell from the photos exactly what it is, but
Ask
if it's
ask the
yeah.
landlord if he or she'll go 50-50 with you on like a hardcore, like, how do you call it, buffer treatment. The floors look all right. I don't know if they're actual hardwood floors, Ricky. But they do look like they need some oil application of some sort. You see the difference? I dropped the screenshot and I also dropped the URL to my listing. If you juxtapose the two of them, my are actual very, very nicely we just got new hardwood floors like 2 years ago when the fix and flipper he completely redid this little balcony area. I don't know, man. They don't look like super they might be faux tile. I don't know if they're actual hardwood floors looking at it now.
Yeah.
Like photo number 9, you can see some paint in there. I even asked that question to the owner, and then he said that I can cover that with a marker that apparently they sell. I have never used that, and I have no experience with this. But he said I can cover that with markers that you can buy.
Oh, these scuffs right here. You're referring to
Yes,
this?
exactly. There you cannot see it too much, but if you're seeing that in person, you can easily see that it's paint all over the place.
But is it a real hardwood floor in there?
That part that's a good question. I don't know.
I don't think so, because otherwise he would probably highlight it.
Yeah. If it's paint on the floor, you can actually get it off. But if
You can
it's
use goof off to
chipped,
get it off. That's
then
easy.
yeah, the little markers work. The issue is trying to get the exact right color to make them look decent. And the longer you've got the unit, the more of these dings it's going to get. I don't know.
Got you. Okay. And so
Yeah,
anything I
ask
can
him a
do?
bit about what the floor actually is, because from the pictures, we really can't tell.
Okay. Okay. And then anything I can do to improve the whole floor, not just because of the stains, but just the way how the floor looks, because it looks old. It even makes a few sounds when you keep walking, going down to the rooms.
That tells me you're probably Pergo. There's nothing you can do to make Pergo look any better, and it's going to be a problem over time. You need to be really certain that if you're doing that sort of laminate flooring, when your housekeepers mop the floor, they have to be very, very careful not to get it wet, because the edges are going to start to curl up and peel. I still would recommend double checking with the landlord exactly what type of flooring you've got.
But yeah, it sounds to me like you've got a laminate similar to Pergo. And those are hard to make look any better than they currently are. They go downhill pretty fast.
Yeah, I'm looking through the other photos in the living room area, wherever the fireplace is. Dude, I think your best bet is you're probably going to end up doing a lot of throw rugs in here, but something that's a little more like brown earth tone neutral that just kind of blends in with the floor tone that's already there. Because, dude, overall, everything else about this place outside of the floors, this is actually a very nice spot, man. Like, this is what, Nick, what this reminds me of is it looks like a lot of the like $650,000 homes minus the like super duper nice kitchen. Like, this is what everything in Aurora, Denver, Westminster looks like, even to the patchy grass front yard area and backyard area. The overall home is very, very nice. The super high ceiling is very, very nice. This open plan down here is really, really nice. It's just the floor is the only thing that isn't super, super nice. The kitchen is fine. It's not like a super crazy nice remodel, but the fact that you have the only thing that sucks is these flat electric stoves. Everybody hates those. Dude, everything else about this spot outside of whatever this is, looks like popcorn ceiling, but it's popcorn wall on whatever this thing is here. Dude, everything else is really nice. The thing that you need to cover up though is it's just those floors, man. I think a really nice throw rug. I don't think I have an example in any of my spots.
You know what I really like for this type of, if you're trying to cover it up but not have something that's going to need to be cleaned all the time, are those jute rugs. They're like that natural woven fiber.
Yes, the thick, tiny ones that are like they're very high quality. They look good, but I think you can get them for cheap. Yeah, something like this. Let me show you this one here. I just realized we do have one of these in one of my living rooms. I'm
So that will
thinking
cover
something like
all
this.
floors.
It'll
Well, you're
cover
not
the
gonna-
All of them.
center of each room.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I'll show you right here. Got this one, Nick. I don't know if that's the material you're referring to. Like we could definitely
Can't see your screen right now.
Yeah, one sec. We definitely could go without it for this room because the wooden floors are so nice in here. But we also know that a lot of people are just gonna scratch and bring shit into this living room area. But something like this, just nice, big, cover most of it. This is another view of it here. Other way. Oops, I skipped over it. Here we go. So something like this. Like, Ricky, if you can have a setup like this in your living room, with that the fireplace in there, just something that's massive, cover it all up, like buy a nice little coffee table and where's my kitchen table? I already showed you the kitchen table photo. Like, don't be afraid to buy nice, wooden hard pieces like this, because this is the vibe that I'm thinking you're going to try and go for. Like, if you really do a nice job with this, like, go over your budget a little bit for the furnishing. Like, whenever you move out of the spot or whatever you end up doing with it, like, you'll keep that furniture and you'll reuse it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, man, you got me excited out here on a Monday night.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. So we will close the deal probably in the next 2-3 days. So the rent actually it was 30-50. I asked them 2,800, and then with in the second year 3% lease. After negotiating quite a bit, then in the end they said no. I waited a little bit, and then after that they reached out, and then they said 2,050. The last few days of the month for free, and then no increase at all in the second year. So I was gonna say like, yes, let's do it. What do you guys think?
What's the final price on it? 3050?
2,950.
2950. Okay.
Yeah, 2,950, which is like overall. I did some math, and then overall is basically 2,500 more in the 2 years. So I was like, for 2,500 more in the 2 years, probably, I guess it's okay to close the deal. I don't know what you guys think.
Is it 3 or 4 bed?
4.
Okay.
I'm hopping on AirDNA to see what they say about it. Give me a minute.
I remember sourcing this deal like a month, feels like almost 2 months ago. And I remember it was a really nice deal at the 3,050. So
I like 4 bedrooms for $3,000. That's a usually good number. I don't know Rebecca's going to give us some
Yeah.
some more data here, but
So
this
it's
is
4
just,
bedrooms, 2 baths, right?
Yeah.
Ricky, really quick. This is what I was thinking about. These things are just, you can beat the crap out of them. And it's that natural woven fiber. It's like, I don't actually know. It's JUTE is how you refer to
You-
the fiber.
Gotcha.
But they just go like, you can get them, the people will beat them up and they still look pretty good.
And it's not expensive. It looks like, yeah, 150.
No, I think you can get them at IKEA for like $100. Like they're not expensive, very, very affordable. This one's 149. Let's see how big it is. That's at Pottery Barn though. Pottery Barn's always going to be more. Look at IKEA. IKEA's got great ones. I bought them personally. And yeah, I think that very, very, very high return on investment there because you're not going to have to spend a bunch of money cleaning them up too.
Costco has them from time to time as well.
Nice.
So
Definitely,
Alright.
we will include that probably then.
I'm going to do a screen share if that's okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, if you go here, I'm assuming that you'll be able to fit 2 people in the living room. So I brought it up to 10 guests. But yeah, it's projecting an annual revenue of 79K. That should cover and give you a decent profit. So
Mhm.
that doesn't look like the same house to me though.
Mhm.
Just
Right
double-
now it is more green, in the outside because probably they took the
Right.
photos in January. When it
So
was,
yeah, this is the house versus, let me pop back over to here. Yeah, I guess that is the same house.
yeah, it's the same house. They remodeled a little bit, and also right now is green outside, and it doesn't look as bad as in the photos.
Good.
But one concern with the rent was that they were for the area. It seems too high. That's the only property that is 3K. Most of them are like 2,600, 2,700. So that's the reason why I was like, let's go lower than that. But since they are letting me do a short-term rentals, I was like, okay, maybe we can pay the 2,950. Any comments on that?
I like it. I mean, I think that you're moving in the right direction for sure. I think that given what we're seeing, they're obviously like they're maintaining a decent occupancy rate already. And I think that a little bit of investment, you can probably take those numbers up, and it may not be the occupancy rate because I think that you said it was going to be 60-70%. But
Mhm.
if you can do that, but bump the ADR up, I think that it's going to be perfect.
It wouldn't be bad to put some sort of a clause in there that says if you aren't able to meet income projections, that you're able to get out of the contract, just to be sure, they're asking quite a bit of rent. Always figure out a way to protect yourself if you can.
Can we put that with you, Thomas? I guess once we send you the contract, maybe you can.
We can look it over.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So I think that's all. Any other feedback on this property? This is gonna be the first one for me. Yay.
It's a nice property.
really
It looks good.
Closer. I know you've been following up with her for a long time. I think you
Yeah,
got her.
finally I was able to meet with her after 2 months, of going back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I think that's all. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. And Thomas, if you can let me know as well via email, the documents that I sent to you last week, if it's okay for me to sign that paperwork, I'll appreciate it.
Yeah, I remember seeing those, but I forget what they were about, but I'll check at them again.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Good stuff, Ricky. All right, guys, David. Dude, David, the more I spend time looking at any of these spots, the more I love them. What I just did in the last like 5 or 6 minutes here, I'm almost done with getting you another cover photo. Dude, this is such a good spot. Honestly, what I would be doing is just testing different cover photos and rotating my different top 5 photos. Like I don't have any other major suggestions for David. Nick, we're moving into the final one. We got David Kahn on here. Dude, this spot is a really, really nice spot. I think you're doing most everything else right on here. I would definitely consider testing different photos and different sequences, and I'm giving you one right now. The other thing I would definitely recommend, David, is I would be going and posting in Facebook groups for travel in the Davenport area. Have you done any of that stuff recently?
I have not, because I actually just heard about it in this call.
Then what I would be doing is I would rotate in this photo. So I'm giving you one here right now. I'm going to save this one for you. By the way, man, where are you where it's so sunlit at 7:30 p.m. Central at night? Are you still in Guatemala?
No, I got back here a couple of days ago. I'm back in South Carolina, but tomorrow I'm flying back to Sacramento.
Damn, give me some 8:30 p.m. Eastern sunlight at this
California.
hour. That's awesome. All right, I'm cleaning this one up for you. My screen looks a little bit orange because I have flux on here. So
Yeah,
oh
it's
my goodness,
it's
that's blue.
struggling. Like right now, month of June did great, but it's just struggling. And like honestly, it kind of put me a lot into like the negatives. And then I don't know, I have these like thoughts where like should I just like pass it over to someone else? Cause like, oh man,
Where are you at? So where were you at in June? What'd you get? What was the total total revenue that you pulled out of it in June?
I think it was like 43.
And
But
then
but after paying the cleaning crews, from for all of the guests, I think I only came out to be like 30, 35.
okay, and so you're just to make 100% sure, but you have the cleaning fee set as a pass-through cost to the guest, right? You're charging every guest the exact same amount or more that you get charged for cleaning the unit, right? For turning it over.
What was
So
that? Say
like,
that again? It
so
kind of broke.
when somebody books your place, they pay $100 to clean for a cleaning fee, and you pay that to the cleaners. You're not paying anything out of pocket, right?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. So
Well,
you're
like
talking
I charge the like when people book, it's already with the cleaning fee.
correct. Okay, just making sure, because so you're talking about roughly minus cleaning fees, roughly 3,500.
I can't hear it. I thought I had good service here, but it's like it just broke up.
Okay, so based on what I was hearing, I think you said you got 3,500 after you paid for cleaning fees. If I remember correctly, your rents are $3,000 plus you probably got, I don't know, a few $100s in utilities. Does that sound accurate? Or losing David a little bit, coming in and out here, man.
So the revenue for the month of June was 4,300, and then out of that it was $1,000 to pay the cleaning, because I had
Okay.
five different guests. They're $200 each, and then that left me with $3,300.
Got it. Okay. If you want to go off camera, save yourself some bandwidth, you can definitely do that. That way we might be able to hear you a little bit better.
Okay.
And so you ended up basically, it's so just so everybody else is on the same page, Davenport right now is a little slower, a little lower demand than what we experience in other times of the year. But David, just to make sure that I'm hearing you right, you got roughly $3,300 or $3,500 out of in terms of gross revenue out of the property after you accounted for cleaning fees.
Correct.
Okay. And so your
Plus-
rent is
plus $3,000 for monthly, plus utilities.
right. So I mean, you probably walked away with a couple $100s on that particular month during the slow season. Is that right?
No, none. It didn't
Zero.
like it
100,
didn't give
just
me a profit.
absolute break even.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's
But the months previous, it did way less than that. So I like since I started till like May, I lost money each one of those months,
so you're doing less
and
than
that's what brought me
$3,000.
down to like 8%.
Okay. What's your pricing set at right now? Nick, do you have his listing up by chance?
Yeah, I'll, let me drop this one for you. in
Okay,
the
let me
chat.
take a look.
David, how much were you losing the first those months? Like how much negative were you?
like at the moment I'm negative with 2 payments. Like so basically like so I paid it, but like it didn't pay me back though. So basically I'm down like maybe 6 grand in total.
And you took delivery on on January 4th, like everybody else did, if I remember, just to throw
Yeah.
that out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like this month is not really booked up, and it's like I'm just like thinking like how am I supposed to make next month's payment if like it's not doing it.
Right.
Like that's one thing I'm really stressing about and like really worried about like how am I gonna make that payment? Because I
Okay.
really like so much already came out of my own pocket just to like actually like
Set it
pay
up.
the rent and like
Yeah.
yeah it's just terrible. And like that's one thing I'm just like really worried about and stressing is like how am I gonna make the next month's payment?
Okay. So right now what I'm seeing is you're somewhere around $145, $150 on weekdays, and then on weekends closer to $200 a night. Is that
Yeah,
how you
but
that
but so for the next 2 weeks, like from now, I think it's like at 155 because it was at like in the 180s and higher, and then I dropped it to 155.
okay.
It should be 155.
David, this is the Benoit Drive address. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Dude, every time I go into AirDNA, I see almost 90% occupancy on weekends for everything else in the area. Dude, can I just give you some tough love here right now, man? I know you might not want to hear it, but can I just make a strong suggestion?
Yeah.
Dude, you just got
I'll
to
take
test you got to test your fucking cover photos harder, bro. You got to be rotating
Okay.
things through here. Like you should be doing them every 3 to 4 days. Like if you've been going for 2 months back to back or you haven't been getting bookings, dude, this is one of the nicest spots we've ever sourced in Florida, period. Like this is a standout spot. I know there's competition in the greater Orlando area, but overall, man, like I can see myself walking through this place and being like, oh yeah, I would do this. Like the amenities are nice. The quality of everything is very nice. That backyard that's shared with everybody else is very, very nice. End to end, this one is really, really solid. The only thing it doesn't have in the area is like its own in-ground pool, but you've got access to one if like it's literally a 30-second walk away, right? That resort right there.
It's a whole
Yeah.
community one.
Dude, I don't think there's some like crazy problem that you're having with the property. I think you just got to test photos harder. Like you haven't found a winning cover photo that's just like hooking people in. Because when I look through this thing and I see it end to end, like it looks really, really, really good. I would stay there. Like me personally, I would stay in this spot if I had 3 or 4 people with me. Like it's got everything. I think you just need to test photos harder. That's my
Okay.
one strong suggestion. Like look, and I have AirDNA in front of me. I have everything else in front of me. I thought the
So
one
don't
cover
drop
photo
it
would
because
be
like I was actually thinking of it.
when you look in the area, and Nick, you give me your thoughts on this one, and then guys, we're gonna wrap it up in the next 2 minutes because I know we're going super long on here. Let me pull this up. So it's Benoit Drive, but that's technically Davenport. Here, I've got this search saved because I made it so many times. It's 8 guests, correct?
Yes.
10.
10?
10 guests.
Yeah.
Where are we squeezing other guests in? On the couch? Is the
On
pull-out
the couch.
Yeah.
sofa?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's this one right here. Okay. So we're still seeing over 1,000 spots. Okay, so we're not really going to get the most accurate data set here, but just this upcoming weekend, and you're completely unbooked for the rest of the month. David?
I have one private booking that's coming on the 14th.
Yeah, everything
say-
else is literally 95% occupancy. I think it's just a matter of keep testing, dude. Like there's so much demand in the area. It just went down from over 1,000 spots available to only 68 left. And yours is going to be one of these search results here if it didn't show up already. I think I just scrolled past it.
Well, I think those dates that you private booking.
Okay, I only caught a portion of that. But again, it's 90% occupancy for the rest of, or sorry, for that third weekend, penultimate weekend, whatever that is in July. And then it finally opens up. So like, dude, there are last minute people booking in here. I'm looking 3 days out to this weekend. I'm looking 10 days out to the following weekend. And then I'm looking 2 weekends out. And then the final weekend, whatever those dates are. Dude, I think there's demand here. I think you just got to rotate cover photos and just try changing shit up. Like there's not much like more like mechanics
Yeah.
to it than that. But like, dude, it's overall
Yeah,
a
I'm a-
really, really great spot, man.
Yeah, I will switch up photos.
Because everything
Yeah,
else here
I
that's
will
going for
do
200 a
I'll
night.
try to switch up every couple of days.
Think we're losing his connection, guys. I don't know if you were able
Yeah.
to catch it.
Okay, I hear you guys now.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of reinforce what Nick's saying. Like there's the spot's fantastic, the location's great. I love these properties. Right now, I find that personally the demand, it has dropped off quite a bit the last couple of months. It's just slow season. You're gonna pick it back up here in the, you know, later part of the fall and definitely through the winter and early spring. It's just right now, for whatever reason, this is the slower part of the year for Davenport. And even in the late part of summer, it starts to pick back up again. Sometimes you just got to be able to ride it out because, you know what, the good months are going to help usually carry you through the bad in a, you know, in a year's term. But you're going to be in a position where for those couple months, if you can just, you know, if you can aim for break even, I think that that's going to be a good goal. So yeah, it's, I
What was your
don't know that
break
there's
at- What was your break even all in, David? It was like 3,600 a month.
I'd say he's just under that,
Yeah.
probably
Just
3 or
around,
4.
it's like with 3,000 a month for just the property itself, and I think I have around like 350 to 400 a month in utilities.
So 3,700 all in with rent, utilities, everything you send to your cleaning team.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
33 to 34, I'd say somewhere between that, based on what I'm hearing. So
we need to figure out how to get you to 55% occupancy, which is let's just say 16 to 18 nights at 200 a night. Honestly, there shouldn't be any reason that this one can't do it, because the competition from anybody else who's doing over 200 a night, almost nobody has a pool at that dollar amount. And then the ones that do have a pool, they're setting it minimum 220 a night unless they're a completely new listing, David. I don't know. I mean, this one is a head scratcher for sure. I feel like you're doing everything else right. I mean, you could target, or I'm sorry, you could rotate cover photos a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Because anything else that has a pool out here, it's going for significantly higher than your price point. And then the only ones that have a pool that are going for around 200 are completely new. Like this one, where did I just scroll past it? This one here. This one is just undercutting themselves because it's a completely new listing. But as soon as they get 3 to 4 reviews on there, they're jacking their prices up to over 260 a night.
Alrighty, yeah, I will change the cover photo to, like after this call and see what that gives me for the next 3 days, and then I'll just keep looking at like other people's like photos and kind of try to match it.
Yeah.
Well, dude, what I would suggest is look at what makes your spot awesome. Like if you look at the collage that I just dropped in your channel, David,
Mhm.
I can legitimately find eight photos that celebrate this thing being like actually better than most other spots. This is a better backyard than most other spots have. Like this is freaking killer. This is a great living room setup. This is your living room plus dining room setup. And this is a bedroom that's got a view of trees and green out in that area. Like it's actually very, very nice. When I walk through in my mind, going through this listing, like it's a very solid spot. I'm just trying to figure out the way to like present it the right way. Let me go back to your listing here. I just added in a different tab. I think it's this one right here. If I don't find it in a second, I'll pull it up. Here we go. Like, dude, when I walk through this, like everything about this spot is overall really, really nice. I think it's just a matter of you got to rotate photos. This thing
Okay.
is actually really, really, really nice. It's very big. It's very spacious. It's 3 bedrooms, correct?
4.
Or
Dude, I don't know. What's wrong with David himself as a person on here when he shows up in the listing here? I'm joking right now, obviously, but like there's nothing wrong with yeah, his reviews are all good and it's all from this spot.
Yeah, like yeah, all my written reviews are like good reviews, and Airbnb also sent me like another, I think it's the second one, like the Superhost thing.
You got
So
Superhost status too.
yeah,
How long have you had
Dude,
since January.
since
yeah, I
January?
created his account in December and
Superhost.
it went live in January. Dude, David, the
So you've
tricky
had the
thing is,
Superhost
it's,
since January.
oh, go on. When did you get Superhost, David?
The first one was, I think, in the middle, so I think March or April, and then I got another one a couple days ago actually.
Dude, all I'm seeing is for the rest of July, these next 3 weekends, 94.5% occupancy. And then it was 95% occupancy. Then it was 90. And then the next weekend that I looked at, it was like 40% occupancy. Dude, there are so many people doing last minute bookings out here, and you're not in the bottom 5% of spots out here. I don't know. You're doing almost everything else right. I feel like if you gave the spot up to somebody else, they would immediately relist this thing and it would just start crushing in like a month or two when everything starts picking up. But also,
Yeah, and I don't want to do that.
yeah, I
But
don't
it's
want you
like
to do that
I'm
either.
like I'm already down like I think like 6-7 grand with the payments from the past, because like it didn't even break even, and I'm just like worried about the next payment, and it's giving me a headache, and yeah.
I'm just wondering if there's something he can do to make his place stand out for like 500 to $1,000 that nobody else has. Rebecca Thomas, Nick, put the thinking caps on.
What about kid
Arcade,
actors for the
like
photos?
arcade game. What was the photo?
Kid actors. I know when you have like actual
Kid
people in the
actors.
photos.
We need to stage
Yeah.
kids in your listing, David. Do you have any young brothers or sisters who look cute, who would
I
like
do
to
not.
sell their soul to the gods of Airbnb to get your
throw
listing?
on some teddy bears on the bed, or Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Disney type things. I don't know.
That
Find
was
a way to
the,
make this
Like try
jump.
to get new photos.
Do you have board
Yes.
games?
Yeah.
so the thing that sticks out to me is like, if you went super hard on the theme, you might be able to stand out. Cause what happens is there are other listings that, as nice as yours is, like it definitely would stand out amongst a crowd of, other lesser, more poorly furnished properties. But in this particular area, you can go really hard on the Disney theme or the kids theme. And I think that would stand out. But again, that's an investment beyond what you may be able to be maybe capable of right now. So I don't have a whole lot of answers that don't require that type of investment.
It just froze on me.
Sorry.
He said it just.
I'm sorry.
froze on me.
Like after you said the kids and the Disney thing, it froze after that, and I
It
didn't hear it.
froze. Okay. Basically, all I was saying was like, just the one thing that stands out is going very hard on the theming. If you could add in some sort of Disney theme or kids character theme, I think that would be one that would help people select your listing over another.
Mhm.
But it's really challenging because it is a beautiful place. It stands out to me. It's just one of those things where I think the investment required for that type of theme may fall beyond what you're capable of right now.
Dude, the nostalgia for me, David, I mean, I'm 32 years old, bro. If I could show up in a spot with NBA Jam, Pac-Man, and this bona fide Simpsons game, my brother and I used to pump quarters into this thing at a place called Organ Piper Pizza when I was a kid. Dude, go and dominate Davenport, Florida, outside of Orlando, with the only freaking 90s themed spot out there. Everybody else is doing Disney. Dude, there are so many adults who just go to that greater area, and even ones who have their kids come too. Dude, get the 3 arcade games. I know it's super super out there, and I know you might not be like super keen on investing more into something that's been like a struggle for you for the last 5 months. But dude, overall, everything else about the property is really solid. I'm looking at things that are within your power to differentiate. I would test the 90s theme, bro. Get a wallpaper that has something to do with 90s themes. You can find them on Amazon. You can go on eBay. You can go on Etsy. You could contract somebody to design one for you for like $100 print. And then you could get that thing screen printed onto some sort of a wallpaper that you can apply. Like, dude,
Yeah,
theme
I was
spots
also
do
thinking
really,
of
really
getting
well
a
out here.
barbecue grill.
Since the spot is shared in the backyard, I would be well, anyway, that would work too. I do have to wrap it up, guys. I know it's super late here, David. But we did want to make sure we
All
get
right.
this one taken care of for you. Dude, I would seriously take a look at, I don't know, Nick and Rebecca, if you have any final thoughts on this one. I really think the 90s theme is such an easy, low degree of difficulty, low hanging fruit, easy one to knock out of the park. There are a lot of guys and husbands and wives who are now my age, whose kids are now Disney age, Disney ready age. Like they're 4,
Yeah.
5, 6, 7 years old. Like you'd have one of the only 90s themed spots in all of Greater Orlando. Like everybody's done the Disney theme. Like there's a ton of saturation on that. Just pick a theme that's something that is going to be slightly different from what everybody else is doing out there. You'd be the only 90s theme spot in there, and it's 4 bedrooms. Like I don't think you'd have a problem. It is a risk because these video games are anywhere from like $250 to $450 a piece, and you would need to coordinate with somebody, coming down there and doing it. But that's not a very difficult one to knock out. You get one screen printed wallpaper. It's peel on, peel off. It would probably look really good in that living room. It would make the whole thing stand out. Everything else about that spot is super nice.
And then
It's just missing one
and then
little
just
unique
retake
flavor.
Yeah.
Yes. You could
And then
honestly
like
just
if
have
I
your
just add
cleaning
more
team.
retake the photos.
Dude, you wouldn't even need to have a photographer come in and just reshoot the whole place. Just your cleaning team, like whoever's got the latest iPhone. Just ask them and see how it looks on that first one. I'll bet you would get some
Okay.
really, really nice photos from the first jump. So that's my thoughts. I've been trying to crack the code on this one for 5 or 6 months. It's a great spot, dude.
Alrighty. Yeah. I will try to make it better, and then I will be switching out to different cover photos.
Boom. Well, rock and roll, guys. We're going to keep supporting David. Everyone pray to the Airbnb short-term rental gods that David's listing just starts converting, because we've done anything and everything possible to get this thing cooking. It's got a great spot, great location. Everything else looks good. David, think long and hard about this. What are themed things you can do for under $400 that you can get live within the next 5 days?
Okay.
I would start looking on eBay, Amazon, Etsy. Just start searching for things like wallpaper design, and then come up with different themes. Look at all the other theme spots that are out there and do something that's completely different. The Disney, Star Wars, Harry Potter, all that stuff is done to death. Choose one that nobody else is doing that you're a big fan of. Like, what are you, a 2001 baby? Like, I'm a 90s baby. I know
99.
you guys who are born after 1998 were from like a completely different world. It's like 8 years was this huge gap. Like, what were you super passionate about when you were a kid? What are you passionate about now? What am I passionate about? I'm passionate about the 90s. I think the 90s were awesome. Go on Etsy, go on Fiverr, find people who have done 90s themes designs, ask if they can do a super high resolution one that you could blow up and get like, so I'm forgetting what the name of that printing device is, but something that can print super high resolution wallpapers, Nick. One of you guys are familiar with it. It's very reasonable though. You can get like stick-on wallpaper. It doesn't damage finished walls, but like, dude, just one thing like that, bro. Like, I don't think there's much. Like, there's not much that is needed to make this thing pop. So I hope we can all
Okay.
put our heads together and think of something for him. But if you can go the video game route, these arcade games, I see one for $380, one for $550, and one for $250. You got those things stood up in there, you'd be getting groups of 8 to 10 dudes who also want to come out there for bachelor parties and stuff. I imagine. I don't know if there's many bachelor parties, but Orlando is a very, very, very heavy duty travel destination. So I think you're going to attract a lot of different people. All right, guys, you ready to wrap it up?
Yep.
We
All right.
good?
Thank you.
Godspeed, Nick. Yeah, Tom, I like that too. X-Men arcade game. Bro, there's so much good stuff you could do with a video game 90s theme one. Don't go for the kids, go for the adults with the kids. They will love that stuff. They'll be
Yep.
like, I'm not going to introduce you to the whack, woke Disney stuff happening right now. Come back to the 90s with me and see what I used to enjoy when I was a kid. You got tons of conservative parents who want to do that one. I can guarantee you that. All right. Rock and roll, guys. Have a great night. See you guys in Slack. See you guys on the next call.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Cheers. Peace, y'all.
Bye-bye.